Story 1. How does the little crocodile improve his shining tail and pour the waters of the Nile on every golden scale? How gleefully he seems to grin, how nearly he spreads his claws, and welcomes little fish in with ever-widening jaws. Story 2. Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Connecticut. Story 3. All U.S. presidents in order. Thank you, Coach Mason, for your basketball games and Jolly Rancher prizes in government class in high school. It all stuck. Story 4. 'Twas brillig and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogovs and the mome raths outgrabe. Story 5. The Wi-Fi password for my internet at my parents' house when I was growing up. I haven't needed it in over 10 to 12 years. Also, the numbers are 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, and 42. Story 6. United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama, Haiti, Jamaica, Peru, Dominican Republic, Cuba, Caribbean, Greenland, El Salvador, Puerto Rico, Colombia, Venezuela, Honduras, Guyana, Guatemala, Bolivia, Argentina, Ecuador, Chile, Brazil, Costa Rica, Belize, Nicaragua, Bermuda, Bahamas, Tobago, San Juan, Paraguay, Uruguay, Suriname, French Guiana, Barbados, Guam, Norway, Sweden, Iceland, Finland, Germany, Switzerland, Austria, Czech Republic, Italy, Turkey, Greece, Poland, Romania, Scotland, Albania, Ireland, Russia, Oman, Bulgaria, Saudi Arabia, Hungary, Cyprus, Iraq, Iran, Syria, Lebanon, Israel, Jordan, Yemen, Kuwait, Bahrain, Netherlands, Luxembourg, Belgium, Portugal, France, England, Denmark, Spain, India, Pakistan, Myanmar, Afghanistan, Thailand, Nepal, Bhutan, Cambodia, Malaysia, Bangladesh, China, Korea, Japan, Mongolia, Laos, Tibet, Indonesia, Philippine Islands, Taiwan, Sri Lanka, New Guinea, Sumatra, New Zealand, Borneo, Vietnam, Tunisia, Morocco, Uganda, Angola, Zimbabwe, Djibouti, Botswana, Mozambique, Zambia, Swaziland, Gambia, Guinea, Algeria, Ghana, Burundi, Lesotho, Malawi, Togo, Western Sahara, Niger, Nigeria, Chad, Liberia, Egypt, Benin, Gabon, Tanzania, Somalia, Kenya, Mali, Sierra Leone, Algiers, Benin, Namibia, Senegal, Libya, Cameroon, Congo, Democratic Republic of the Congo, Ethiopia, Guinea-Bissau, Madagascar, Rwanda, Mayotte, Cayman Islands, Hong Kong, Abu Dhabi, Qatar, Crete, Mauritania, Transylvania, Monaco, Liechtenstein, Malta, Palestine, Fiji, Australia, Sudan. Story 7. The Canterbury Tales Prologue. When April with its sweet showers, it was unhelpful when required for 11th grade literature, and it remains unhelpful now. Story 8. For me, it's the theme song lyrics to The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I haven't watched the show in years, but I can still recite every word perfectly. Something that has stuck with me from childhood. Although it seems useless in my daily life, it often comes in handy for nostalgic fun or when someone randomly starts singing it. It's amazing how some things become embedded in your memory forever. Story 9. Fire and Ice by Robert Frost is a poem I learned in 8th grade, and now it resides in my mind without any cost. Story 10. Tiger, tiger, burning bright, in the forests of the night, what immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? In what distant deeps or skies burned the fire of thine eyes? On what wings dare he aspire What hand dares seize the fire? And what shoulder and what art could twist the sinews of thy heart? And when thy heart began to beat, what dread hand, what dread feet, what the hammer, what the chain? In what furnace was thy brain? What the anvil, what dread grasp dares its deadly terrors clasp? When the stars threw down their spears and watered heaven with their tears, did he smile to see his work? Did he who made the lamb make thee, tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forests of the night? What immortal hand or eye dares frame thy fearful symmetry? Story 11. For some unknown reason, I memorized the Budweiser banner. This is the famous Budweiser beer. We know of no brand produced by any other brewer that costs so much to brew and age. Our exclusive Beechwood aging produces a taste, smoothness, and drinkability you will find in no other beer at any price. Story 12. Immanuel Kant was a man who was very rarely stable. Martin Heidegger was a drinker who could outthink you. David Hume could outconsume Hegel. Ludwig Wittgenstein was a drinker who was just as intoxicated as Schlegel. There's nothing Friedrich Nietzsche couldn't teach you about the raising of the wrist. Socrates himself was permanently intoxicated. John Stuart Mill, of his own free will on half a pint of brandy, was particularly ill. Plato, they say, could drink half a pint of whiskey every day. Aristotle was fond of the bottle, and Thomas Hobbes enjoyed his dram. René Descartes was a heavy drinker. I think, therefore I am. Story 13. My military service number from before they switched to Social Security number is permanently etched into my brain. Story 14. I am the very model of a modern Major General. I have information about vegetables, animals, and minerals. I know the kings of England, and I quote the fight historical, from Marathon to Waterloo in an orderly manner. Story 15. Pneumon-ultramicroscopic silicovolcaniconiosis is a disease affecting the lungs. It consists of 45 letters and 19 syllables, making it the longest word in the English language. I learned it in 3rd grade and have never forgotten it. The disease itself may not really exist, but there's no going back now. Hippopotomonstrosesquipedaliophobia is a made-up term describing a fear of long words and is one of my favorite things ever. I have memorized 2 related, albeit ultimately useless, facts about long words. I feel like they occupy an entire city block in my brain. Story 16. All the Words to 1 Week by the Bare Naked Ladies. Also, Without Me by Eminem. When I was a kid, I used to make bets with my best friend on who could memorize a fast-paced song first. These 2 are still in my memory. Story 17. My 8-day rotating block schedule from high school included days A through H, with 6 blocks each day and a total of 8 classes. Each day, 2 classes would be dropped, and the blocks would alternate. It was structured as follows. A. 1-2-3-4-5-6. B. 4-3-6-5-7-8. C. 2-1-5-6-8-7. D. 1 mois, 2 mois, 3 mois, 4 mois, 7 mois, 8. E. 2-1-4-3-6-5. F. 3-4-5-6-8-7. G. 1-2-6-5-7-8. H. 2 mois, 1 mois, 4 mois, 3 mois, 8 mois, 7. Then it would start over. I still remember my senior year schedule and the order of classes. I could even tell you what day it was based on a corresponding date in the school year. For example, if someone asked, "What day is December 14th?" I could respond, "Oh, that's an F day," or whatever it was. Story 18. How to spell. Because using the rhyme big elephants can add up sums easily. It serves its purpose once upon a time. Story 19. What do you call a sentence where the first letter of every word translates to something else? Anyway, when I had to memorize the glycolysis pathway in biochemistry, it went something like this. Ernie gave Bert goddamn balls Frankfurter. Story 20. In the equation y equals mx plus b, m is the slope. I do not remember what this equation is for. I learned it 26 years ago. Story 21. The phone number we had between 1970 and 1974. I remember this, but I would have a hard time telling you what I had for breakfast on Wednesday. Story 22. One bright day in the middle of the night, two boys who were lifeless got up to fight. Back to back, they faced each other, drew their swords, and shot each other. A deaf police officer heard this noise, came, and shot those two boys. If you don't believe this lie is true, ask the blind man, he saw it too. I hadn't thought about this in so long, about 30 years or so. I remember working really hard to memorize this, but I'm not sure where it came from. Maybe a magazine? Story 23. All right, I've been thinking. When life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Make life take the lemons back. Get mad. I don't want your lemons. What am I supposed to do with these? Demand to see life's manager. Make life regret the day it thought it could give Cave Johnson lemons. Do you know who I am? I'm the man who's going to burn your house down with the lemons. I'm going to get my engineers to make a combustible lemon that burns your house down. Story 24. Phonetic alphabet. Nobody else knows it, even people who should, like customer service representatives. Often, it confuses them more. Story 25. General Order 1. I will guard everything within the limits of my post and will quit my post only when properly relieved. General Order 2. I will obey my special orders and perform all my duties in a military manner. General Order 3. I will report violations of my special orders, emergencies, and anything not covered in my instructions to the commander of the relief. I learned these orders when I first went to boot camp for the Army in 1995. If you didn't know them, you didn't eat. While I haven't had to repeat them since then, I can still recall them without having to look them up. However, if you ask me how old I am, I'd have to do some math first. Story 26. The poem, The Jabberwocky. I memorized it in the 2nd grade because I loved it. No one has ever thought it was as fun as I did. Story 27. I am not crazy. I know he swapped those numbers. I knew it was 1216, one after the Magna Carta. As if I could ever make such a mistake. Never. I just couldn't prove it. He covered his tracks. He got that person at the copy shop to lie for him. Do you think this is something? Do you think this is bad? This chicanery. He's done worse. That billboard. Are you telling me that a man just happens to fall like that? No, he orchestrated it. Jimmy defecated through a sunroof, and I saved him. I shouldn't have. I took him into my own firm. What was I thinking? He'll never change. Ever since he was 9, always the same. He couldn't keep his hands out of the cash drawer. But not our Jimmy. He couldn't be precious Jimmy, stealing them blind. And he gets to be a lawyer? What a sick joke. I shouldn't have stopped him when I had the chance. You have to stop him. Story 28. The first 3 stanzas of The Midnight Ride of Paul Revere. I had to memorize it for Candy in 7th grade, and my memory is like a steel trap when it comes to poems, music, and lyrics. By the way, Sybil Luddington completed a ride twice as long as Paul Revere's All on Her Own at the age of 16 to alert her local militia that the British were coming. She even fought off bandits with a stick to complete her ride. It's a poem about a man who is often only remembered because of gender bias. Story 29. Reciting the alphabet backwards. I would also say Roy G. Biv for the spectrum and FOIL for mathematical operations, but those are not useless. I still use them on occasion. Story 30. 2 things. Every single line in the Rocky Horror Picture Show and the original cast's names. As God is my witness, they are not going to defeat me. I will live through this, and when it is all over, I will never be hungry again. Neither will any of my people. If I have to lie, steal, cheat, or kill, as God is my witness, I will never be hungry again. Story 31. You know what you look like to me with your good bag and your cheap shoes? You look like a naive person, a well-scrubbed hustler with a little taste. Good nutrition has given you some length of bone, but you're not more than 1 generation from poor white trash, are you, Agent Starling? And that accent you tried so desperately to shed. Pure West Virginia. Is your father a coal miner? Does he stink of the lamp? Oh, how the boys found you, all those tedious, sticky fumblings in the backseats of cars while you dreamed you could get out anywhere, all the way to the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Story 32. My autism spectrum self has so much information memorized. I can rattle off Pokemon evolution levels when they learn moves and where some are in each game. I can identify the Pokemon based on their in-game sounds. I have memorized just as much for Monster Hunter games, so I don't really need to look things up while I play. I can identify many dog and cat breeds and figure out what they are mixed with. I know a lot about wild animals, including their appearance, names, locations, and diet. I tend to keep strange facts about them. I have an extensive amount of information about dinosaurs. However, if you ask me a date of anything, I have no clue. Story 33. I worked at UPS about 30 years ago as an outbound package sorter for approximately 2 years in a sorting hub. My area handled outbound packages for the state of Connecticut, and I remember the zip codes for every town in Connecticut. Story 34. Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Delta, Epsilon, Zeta Eta, Theta, Iota, Kappa, Lambda, Mu Nu 11, Omicron, Pi Rho Sigma, Tau Upsilon, Phi Chi, Psi Omega. Story 35. The first 169 digits of pi, my entire elementary school classmates' birthday dates, all capital cities, flags, and highest points of every country in the world, and the full lyrics to the Macarena. Story 36. I can say the alphabet backwards faster than forwards. I think. It's at least really close. Story 37. The spelling of the word miscellaneous. I won the 4th grade spelling bee with that word. For reference, I am 40 years old. Story 38. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. Story 39. Romans 3 verse 23. For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. I am not even religious anymore, but that Bible verse will forever be ingrained in my mind. Story 40. Matt Damon's monologue. Why shouldn't I work for the National Security Agency? From Good Will Hunting. I performed it for an audition 15 years ago, and it remains in my memory. Story 41. I'm from South Africa, and my home language is English, so the compulsory second language is Afrikaans or Zulu. I detest Afrikaans and always have. In the 4th grade, we had to do an Afrikaans oral where we were required to recite a poem from memory in front of the class. I was far too invested in video games and paid absolutely no attention to this assignment. When my teacher called me up, I said, I didn't practice it. As a result, I received detention during lunch. My detention involved practicing the poem and attempting to do the oral after lunch. I sat there reading this terrible poem about pets over and over again. I dropped my freshly sharpened pencil at some point and accidentally plunged the lead into the palm of my hand. Miraculously, within 30 minutes, I knew the poem by heart. After lunch, I was not asked to recite it. The teacher forgot and I received a 0. It didn't bother me much because, as an introvert, orals are embarrassing anyway. Fast forward 22 years later, I still have a spot of lead in the palm of my right hand, and I still know the poem by heart. Every time I see the little lead mark, my brain goes, oh, I know, and recites the poem. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.